Hey everybody. I popped on a couple of minutes early just to make sure that everything was going to work okay. So I don't have a bunch of Fiesta stuff, but I have B stuff. Does that count? Bzzzt. Hey, Barbie.
Hi, Becky.
Arriba.
All right, 3:45.
Okay, so it is 3:45. We'll give everybody a couple of minutes to get back on. It's a beautiful Sunday afternoon here in Houston. Thanks everybody for joining me. Thank you, Melinda, for inviting me to this fun yearly festival. When I heard it was Fiesta, I was so excited. And you're going to see why in just a few minutes, and I'll explain why my cookies look the way they look. There's been some great tutorials this weekend. And Melinda, again, thank you and Connie both for putting on such a wonderful weekend of great tutorials.
Karen Green says hello.
Hey, Karen.
Tahisha,
hi, my love. Barbie is actually manning the comments because as far as the instructors are concerned, we're not able to see the comments during the live. So she's going to toss out any questions that you have for me. So we'll be able to answer those during the live as well.
Jessie Ann is here.
Hey, Jessie Ann. How are you doing, sweetheart? I'm still coming to Florida to visit you. So we'll give it about another minute or so, and then we'll get started. And Melinda is actually going to be coming on live after my tutorial is complete. So stay tuned for her as well. And then we have one additional instructor that will follow her.
Kathy Graff says hello.
Hey, Kathy.
And Patricia.
Hey, Patricia. All right, so it is 3:47, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So this year's theme was Fiesta, and I selected to go a little bit different route with my two cookies, and I'll show you those two cookies in just a moment. But the first thing that I thought of was when you hear Fiesta, I love going to San Antonio, and I love going to the Riverwalk, and all the lively music and everybody just walking around having fun. But the thing that popped into my mind was I took a trip to Cabo a few years ago with my husband, and we went to a little restaurant, and there was a gentleman there, and he had on an Elvis type costume, and he was playing his heart out on his guitar. And one of the songs that he played was from the movie Pee Wee Herman. I think it was called The Big Top or something. Pee Wee's Big Adventure.
Yes.
And so when he started singing this song, it was like, oh my gosh, that song is stuck in my head forever. And I don't know if you've ever had that happen, but I'm just going to hum a little bit of that song to you. And let me know if you know which song I'm talking about. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Tequila!
Well done. Yay!
I don't do that for everybody. So Melinda, that was for you. That's pretty scary, right?
Susan Trianos is here.
Susan Trianos, what the hell? What the hell was that? All right, so I'm going to move my phone so that you guys can see the cookies real quick. So bear with me. All right, so.
Are we supposed to shout tequila?
Yeah. So I don't know if you can see my phone yet. All right.
There's a delay.
So hang on. There's a little bit of a delay, so bear with me. Let's rotate it.
hope we're going to rotate.
Yeah, I hope we're going to rotate. Facebook is crazy today.
Because right
Slowly,
now,
there we go. Look at that. Look at that.
All right.
So let me scoot this up a little bit. So anyway.
And just make it, because, it's wonky.
It's wonky. Well, it may have to be wonky because there's such a delay. Anyway, let's get started. And this is my Fiesta cookies that I'm going to be showing you. And so this cookie, this poor guy has this song stuck in his head, and now it has driven him crazy, and he's dead. So today, I'm going to be working with a couple of great products that I want to make sure that you know about. And in your VIP bag, you actually have a sample from Susan Triano's, her new meringue powder, which is called Fluff and Stuff. And that is actually what I use to dip these cookies. And I'll show you that process as well here in just a little while. But I used her product for that. And then the fondant work that I've done on here, she has a new fondant that she's come out with. And I don't normally work with fondant. However, this fondant tastes really, really good. And it has the properties of as if I'd added modeling chocolate to it. So this piece here is all of that fondant. And then the small piece, the rose pieces on here and the skull are actually made with her new fondant. And I'm going to show you all of the tools that I use for this project as well. Okay, so let me slide my stuff in here. And don't be overwhelmed. It's really not as bad as it looks. Okay, are we on there yet?
We are
sort
now.
of. All right. So anyway, we just have paper towel. Let me see which way I need to move this. I did a couple of cookie cutters that I made myself, and I'll be happy to share the STLs with anybody that wants them. So Melinda, I can send you those, or I can put them in the group, and it's just a skull and a little guitar. Okay, and then I use dilution solution anytime that I'm painting with anything. So I'm going to be using that today, and it also works. I dilute airbrush color down even a little bit more with the dilution solution. Okay, and so this is the fondant that I was telling you about, and this is the new Susan Triano's collection. And she actually gave some of these samples away at CookieCon, so I snagged a few of them and wanted to start working with it. And I absolutely love this. It's going to be available from Icing Images, but if you have any questions about it, just reach out to Susan at learntocake.com, and she can hook you up with some as well. Okay? And then I'm going to be dyeing that fondant. It comes in white, but I'm going to be dyeing it to a dark gray shade, and then I'm going to be painting it with some black powder. And then I'm going to use two simple airbrush colors from Semi-Color, Candy Apple Red and Semi-Yellow. And then I've got some dusting powders that I'm going to be using that I used on the guitar itself. And I use blending brushes, and these are available from Icing Images. And a variety of different size brushes that I paint with, and I'll explain those to you as we go through. And let's see, I've got a little paint palette that we're going to be using. I have a rose mold for the fondant, then
slow.
I have Barbie's telling me go slow. I also have a skull mold, but I'm going to show you how to make the skull even without the mold if you don't have one.
Where'd you get the mold
Okay,
from?
the mold I actually ordered from Amazon. Okay. And the rose mold is, I got this from Artie Magoo at one of her classes, but you can also get this small rose mold from Simi Cakes as well. Okay. And then I just have a variety of different tools. I've got some lettering consistency, royal icing. Again, this is made with Fluff and Stuff. And I'm using a 1.5 PME tip, and I will be utilizing that to put the strings on the guitar. Okay, and then I have flood icing. So let me get this out of the way and we'll get started. All right, so again, the guitar cookie and the skull cookie. And we'll actually start working on both of them at the same time because there's a couple of different things we're going to need for it to dry on the guitar as we go forward. And then the skull, you can do this 2 different ways when you're painting the eyes and the nose and the mouth. We can scrape some royal icing onto the cookie, which is really pretty fast to do because when you scrape it on, it dries really quickly. So I just kind of figure out where those areas would be. And I go ahead and add some royal to that. And it doesn't have to be very much at all. I take a very thin scraper. Scrape a small amount across there. And then I'm going to set that cookie aside and let that dry. And that's what I will paint the flames for the eyes, nose, and mouth on. Okay? So we'll get that out of the way. Now, if you would like to do an entire cookie flooded, then that's what I've done on this one here. And we'll be utilizing that. But with this fondant, it is very sweet. It tastes wonderful. So I didn't think that I needed the extra royal icing on this cookie because, again, the fondant work is pretty thick. And I didn't want too much sugar on there, so whenever you bite through to it, it's not overpowering. Okay, and then I flooded or dipped this one as well with the fluff and stuff. Okay, so I have one already dry, and we'll get started on those 2 cookies. So we're going to start off with the guitar, and I'm going to take my blending brush, and I use color-coded handle blending brushes. And this is a brown one, and I get these from Icing Images. And the reason I use color-coded handles is because when I use my powders, I don't want to cross-contaminate my brushes with different colors because I don't want those colors coming back onto my cookies in various shades that I didn't want there. So this is a mixture of a caramel and brown. And again, these are dry dusting powders from the Sugar Art. And I just took a little bit out of both of them and made a color that I thought would be a good base for the guitar. So I just take a small amount of that and I put it on a piece of parchment. You could also put it on a paper towel if you want to. And then I take the blending brush. Let me know if I get off center here.
Oh, you're doing perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
And I just dab my brush into those powders, load it up, and then I tap off the excess, okay? And then I'm going to take my dried dipped cookie and my dusting powders, and I'm going to go across the cookie in a circular motion, and then I'm going to start adding color to that cookie. And again, this is just a combination of those 2 different colors. You could use any color brown or a golden brown. You could make your own colors. Any dry dust will work, whatever you have available. It doesn't have to be a specific brand. Okay, and I just go around the cookie until I get a look that I like. With dry dusting, just remember that once you put it on, you can't take it off. So go slow and build up. And if I need to add more to my brush, I just dab it again into the powder and keep going around circular motions all the way around that cookie. And what's great is it's going to pick up in different areas where you may have some little fissures or crevices. It's going to pick those colors up and make this look even more like a wood grain.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that portion is done. So we're going to go with a little bit darker. We're going to go with the full strength dark chocolate. And we're going to add some different colorations to the cookie. And like my good friend was talking about yesterday, Miss Susan Triano was talking about shading. We're going to shade this thing up a little bit so that you can see dimension on it. And I have a different size blending brush. And again, this is only for dark colors. But I'm going to load that brush up the same way, even though it's smaller. I'm going to do the same exact thing, but this time we're going to focus on the outer edges of the cookie.
And that's with the darker brown.
Correct. And that way it's going to give us some dimension on this cookie. Let me move our little skull guy out of the way.
Oh, you're perfect.
Just for a minute. And again, you can keep blending in until you get the desired effect that you're going for. And since guitars primarily are wood, sometimes they're plastic. Kids' guitars are plastic, but with the wood grain look. So we want this to kind of have that same look whenever we finish up. Now, I will tell you, whenever you're adding your darker colors to the shading areas, don't be afraid to add your colors. Again, you can't take them off, but you can always add different colors around them. You can add some whites over them, so you can correct a lot of your mistakes. And it's a cookie, so it's artwork, so really there is no mistake. Now, on the sides, I want to make sure that I'm coloring in the sides as well, because I don't want that stark white of the cookie showing against this. I want it to look more cohesive, okay? And then I like to use my very expensive tool, my gloved hand, to do a lot of my work. So you can already see that there's a little bit of a difference there. So it's coming to life for us. And then I would take some more of that dark, and I don't know what you call the strings where the guitar artist picks out the notes, whatever that brown piece is called in the middle.
Let's see if somebody can tell us.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a musician, so. But I want to make sure that I color that in so that it looks like that guitar. Okay. And I know they have this hole there, and that's for the acoustic sounds. So we're going to add that. Even though much of this is going to be covered up, any areas that are exposed, we want to make sure that they look realistic. Okay.
Charlotte is watching.
Hey, Charlotte. And then, so again, we can make this as white as we need to, as dark as we need to.
Sharita thinks it might be a soundboard.
Hey, way to go, Sharita. I'm going to trust you on that. What the hell? Okay. All right. So that's actually okay with me on that one. Let me get this dust out of our way. You haven't lived until you've spilled an entire jar of dusting powders all over the place.
Not today.
Not today.
Lavelle says hello.
Hey, Lavelle. All right, so now I'm going to take that white lettering consistency icing. And remember, I told you we had to do a little bit to let it dry.
And that's your 1.5.
So this is a 1.5 PME tip. And I'm just going to do some little strings onto this guitar. How many strings does a guitar have? However many you want it to, right?
I thought that was, yes, yes.
3, 7, I don't know, 12. I would have one because I would break all of them. And then I know that they have some areas that go across.
Did you research this guitar?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I watch a lot of cartoons, and there's animals that play guitars, so I have a grandson that watches cartoons.
It looks like a guitar.
And then these little things up here, these little knobs, that's where the strings are tuned. We're just going to add a couple of those to each side, and then we'll let those dry, and then we'll add some black to the top of those. Okay, so we're going to set this off to the side and allow that royal icing to start crusting over before we can do anything else to it. Okay?
Now, Kathy says neck.
Neck on the guitar?
Could be a part of that guitar.
I think Kathy is correct.
Okay.
Now that she says that, I do believe that she is correct. Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
Okay. And Karen says hello.
Hey, how are you? All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take some of this fondant from Miss Susan Triano's, and we're going to start working with it. Okay, again, it's white. And I wish you could smell this and taste it. It has a beautiful vanilla scent. It's very easy to work with. And we're going to be adding some black gel food coloring to this because, again, I want that grayish look that we're going to use for the skull. Okay? And then I'm going to show you how to make some of those white skulls that go onto the guitar using this same fondant. But we're not going to dye those. We're going to leave those white and then do a little bit of painting on them at the end. Okay? All right. So again, it almost has a modeling chocolate feel to it. And for this, I'm just using a black gel food color. And this is where you really are happy that you're wearing gloves.
Careful. Now they've said 6 strings on a guitar.
Oh, well, I didn't put 6 on ours. We've got one that is a little bit handicapped. It's only got 3.
That's all right. And the other word was bridge.
Oh, you people.
Yeah, yeah.
All these musicians.
Yeah.
Now, what was the name of the song that I was singing or humming?
We can all say it together.
You can say it. Okay, so again, you can use gel color to color your fondant. You can also use some powder colors if you want to. And I'm not going for a jet black on this because I want to be able to see some different variations in the coloring when I add the black, Turkish black dusting powder to the top of it.
The fondant's taking the color nice.
It is.
Smooth.
I wish you could feel this. Way to go, Susan Triano's. Another winner. Okay? And it's very easy to work with. Now, those of you that know me know that I absolutely hate cornstarch, but I've got to use a little bit of it, so I'm cheating. I don't touch it so that it doesn't stick to my paper as bad.
Is this a new contraption?
No, that's old. Somebody gave me that at CookieCon years ago because I was freaking out in a class because I had to touch cornstarch. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to smooth this out with my hand. And I want it to be about 1/4 of an inch thick. And this is what I'm going to make the skull's face for the big cookie. And so I just smooth that out. And the warmth of your hand is going to actually work this really well. And my goal is I need for this to be on the skull cookie and to look like a skull when it's all said and done. Now, don't judge me. I'm not a sculptor. I've never even had art classes, but I love playing with stuff, so...
You need this?
I don't need that.
You don't even need a ruler.
I don't even need a ruler, because I'm going to use our cookie cutter that we made our cookie with to cut out our design.
Very clever.
Use the tools that you have, right?
Yeah, maximize, yes.
Okay.
Nice.
All right, and then I take the piece that I had left over, and I'm just going to take a ball of it, and then I divide that in half, and those are going to be underneath. Those are going to be his injections for his cheek fillers. So it's going to go underneath his cheek. And then I make a little sausage. And these are going to be for his accentuate his eyes in the eyebrow region. Of course, he's a skull. He doesn't really have hair, but it's going to pronounce the bone a little bit more. Okay? And it doesn't have to be precise. That's the beauty of this. And I'm going to take my boo-boo stick and cut off a couple of pieces because this is what I'm going to use to make a couple of warts on him. And then I just save my excess in case I need any additional things added to him. And that's all we need for this guy. And then I take a silicone tool. And I also use this, as you can see, I've used it many times in isomalt. So this end is bent. But I'm going to take this spoon end. It's kind of like a Dresden tool, but it's a silicone tool that I use for isomalt as well. And I'm just going to cut out a couple of places here for his eyes. Then I just start scooping that out. And then using that tool to smooth out the inside of that. And I want it to be like a triangle shape on both sides, with the top of the triangle at the top of his skull. And the great thing about him is you don't have to be precise. Okay, and then I'm going to go to the other side and do the same thing. And you could get all fancy. You could buy expensive tools. I just kind of grabbed what I had available to me at the moment. Use what you have. But just know that when you do purchase tools, that you really do some research and spend your money wisely and buy the best tools that you can afford, and they're going to last you much longer.
And take care of them.
And take care of them. That's exactly right. Okay, so I'm kind of at an angle. What does he look like on camera?
Really good.
Is he pretty close to even there? Mm-hmm. Okay, so then the next thing we have to do, we've got to make sure that he has a nose. So we want it more of a heart shape. Okay? But we're going to cheat a little bit because he's got a couple of areas that we don't want all of his skull gone, his bone gone, because we want those flames shining through, kind of scary looking. Okay? And I don't know if you can tell on camera how smooth this stuff starts working out with just minimal effort. Okay? All right, so let's do the same thing over here.
So it hasn't dried out yet?
Oh, no, not at all. And in fact, I'll show you the completed cookie. That fondant was done last night, and it's still really soft, but you could bag it.
Mm-hmm. So nice bite.
Correct. Okay, all right. So how's those two nostrils look?
Oh, nice.
Good for a nostril?
Kind of scary.
All right, and then his mouth. We're just going to go down here, and we're going to do the same thing. I just kind of draw it on there a little bit. And again, we're just going to scoop out some because we want those. It almost looks like tendons running across there, but of course it wouldn't be tendons because it's a skull, but that's going to expose those areas to let those flames shine through. Okay, can you all see that? Let me know if I get off camera.
I will.
And on this one, I actually did 4 slits. And then just work your excess to the top and bottom, and that's going to give him some more definition on the chin and at the top of his mouth as well. Okay? Any questions so far?
No. Tell him to type it in there.
Yep, type it in if you have any questions. And again, this fondant has really made a believer out of me, because again, I didn't use a lot of fondant at all previously. And I wouldn't mind serving these to a customer, because a lot of fondants, you have to tell them, oh, don't eat that, pick that off.
I like how you're able to work it, though.
Yeah. It's very easy to work with. All right. So how does our slits look there in the mouth?
Really scary.
Okay. All right. So let's take our excess pieces and let's give him some definition to those eyes. And again, I'm just going to take my spooned end of my tool and start blending that in.
That blend's nice.
Yeah, and the great thing is it doesn't have to be really precise, because I'm going to go back in and give him some marks.
Mm-hmm. Karen missed the beginning, and she wants to know more about this fondant. What fondant are you
Okay,
using?
so this fondant I'm using is from Susan Trianos. It's her new collection. And it's available on Icing Images, or it will be soon. And if you have questions about it, you can also visit with Susan Trianos on her website, Learn to Cake, if you have any more questions about it. But it tastes marvelous. It's very easy to work with. It's very easy to color. And it almost has the feel of a modeling chocolate when I'm sitting here messing with it.
But it doesn't melt like modeling chocolate.
No. Yeah, we can't really use that here in Houston much.
Modeling chocolate.
Yeah, because it melts like crazy.
So this is a great...
It's a great alternative.
Yeah.
And again, it tastes good. Okay. All right. So then I kind of like the idea of building his mouth up a little bit on the bottom too. So I'll take one of my scrap pieces.
You might want to make his one nostril a little
Which one?
bigger.
This one?
Well, you're backwards for me, so just look at that a little bit.
Okay. How's that?
I'll look here in a second.
Okay. That's the beauty of technology. Everything's backwards.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's good.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm happy now.
You're happy?
Uh-huh.
That's great. When Barbie's happy, everybody's happy.
That's right. Yeah, I like how you're building that up. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then I want to go back, and I don't want him smooth by any means, so I'm going to go in and start giving him some little cuts in the skull so that it's going to pick up some of those black highlighter when I put the dusting powder on him.
Nice.
And you could do this until, oh my gosh, you finally just have to stop yourself. Dun 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 dun.
But it looks like it's keeping the marks.
It does keep the marks very well. You know, some fondants that we've worked with,
They're gone immediately.
you look back and you're like, I just worked on that for like 5 minutes. Where are they at?
Yeah.
And when using these in a silicone mold, it keeps the dimensions really well.
Oh, good.
Is he getting scary enough for you?
Yes, I like him.
Eyes okay?
Mm-hmm.
Nose okay?
Yes. His mouth is magnificent.
Mouth is good?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so let's give him those 2 little warts that I talked about. So again, I just made a little ball. Push that on. Stick the tool down in the center of it. How's that?
Oh, frightening.
Arr.
Arr.
You know, he does kind of look like an old dead pirate, doesn't he?
Especially if you like pirates.
I do like pirates. Love pirates. Okay. All right, so what do you think?
Oh, I do. Those little, almost barnacles
Yeah.
add a lot, you know? The warts really cool.
Hey, let's Botox him a little. And the great thing is, even after we finish with him and put him on the cookie, that we can adjust it a little bit as we need to.
Okay.
What do you think?
Mm-hmm.
Eyes are still good?
Yes.
All right, so let's take our black, Turkish black from the Sugar Art.
You're getting lots of hearts. People
And I'm
like
gonna keep it on this parchment, and I'm just taking one of my old brushes. Doesn't have to be any specific brush. I just use one that's kind of messed up on the ends. And the reason I don't use the blending brushes on this one, because he has so many bumps and crevices that I want to make sure I get down into those crevices.
Right. Oh, Turkish black looks nice on that.
But he went from that gray color to now a really nice black. So without having to saturate a lot of royal icing to get a black, to do like dimensional piping on him. Are we still in camera?
You're perfect.
All right. Wait. Can you say that again?
I know, but you know.
Can you say that again?
You know I'd holler at you. If you want.
You know, it's not often that she says you're perfect.
Yeah, perfect.
So again, a little bit of this goes a long way. And I don't want to do the whole thing just solid black. I want some of that gray popping through as well.
And this is the Turkish black.
This is Turkish black from the Sugar Art. But if you have some other black dusting powder, you could certainly try that.
Absolutely.
Don't feel like you have to run out and buy everything that there is.
Although this is the good black.
It is a good black.
I like
But
this black.
use what you got and see how it does.
Yeah. Then when you run out.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay? I think that's good. What do you think?
Maybe over here on this side.
This side?
Just, you know, you got to be perfect.
You know, it's really hard to see the sides
I
and the
know.
top when you're on
I
camera,
know,
too.
so that's why But
It helps to have another set of eyes.
We see it. You see. We see it. Yeah, good. Oh, good.
What do you think?
Yeah, very good.
Okay, so as you know, we're going to put the lid on before we do anything else.
Yes, please.
All right, so we didn't use a template on this guy, correct?
All right.
So what we're going to do is basically he's done, right?
Okay.
So I'm going to cheat and use him as a template for when I paint the flames underneath.
Ah, okay.
Okay?
All right.
So I'm going to get most of that black off of there. And I'm just going to lightly go inside there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to give me a pattern on the cookie. So I know where to paint.
Got it.
And it doesn't take much. Can I get a new piece of parchment, please, ma'am? Thank you. Okie dokie. And you don't have to worry about any mess that goes on because we're going to paint over him and then we're going to cover that up. All right, so for this part, I'm going to use Semi-Color Splash Candy Apple Red. 1 drop. And then I'm going to use the semi-yellow. And these are airbrush colors, by the way. And I use these airbrush colors even to color my royal icing. I use these in my isomalt. I paint with them. They're phenomenal. And then I add a little bit of the dilution solution into my color palette as well. And then I'm just going to take any little random brush. I'm going to wet it with that dilution solution. Pick up a little bit of that red. And I don't want too much on there because I don't want it going everywhere. And these are very vibrant colors, and a little bit goes a long way. So I'm going to paint the outside red. Okay?
Okay.
Same thing over here. And he doesn't have to be perfect.
So you're painting a little bit bigger than what you're...
Yeah. So that it fills in.
Fills in.
Okay? And I don't have to be worried about precision. And on this one, it's really easy because I know how wide his mouth is, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then I'm going to take a different brush.
Excuse me.
A little more dilution solution. Wet my brush again. I'm just cleaning it out on this paper towel off to the side. Okay. Mm-hmm. Pick up some of the yellow.
Oh, nice.
And even my grandson paints with me like this, so it's pretty easy to do. And then I'm going to take my brush and just kind of pull in from the red into the yellow so that you get an orange look.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
So far, so good?
Perfect. And you're using the dilution solution to kind of help you mix, right?
Correct. Because I don't want those real stark lines between the two. Mm-hmm. I want them to start blending some.
And that's what the dilution solution lets you do.
Yes. Okay. Now then I take our skull. Most people spray this with a little bit of water or paint some water on there to adhere the fondant to the cookie. I'm just going to take paper potion, put 1 squirt on the back, take my cookie, and then attach that fondant to the cookie. And then I start adjusting them a little bit to make sure that we can see those colors underneath and that we have good adhesion between the fondant and the cookie.
Nice.
Okay? And at this point, Pee Wee Herman could be done. Okay? So let me get my mess out of the way there, and we'll start working on the little skull pieces for the guitar and the roses. Okay? Mm-hmm. And you could actually take your tool and open those up a little more if you wanted to, because again, that fondant is still very workable. How's that?
Magnificent.
Better?
Yeah.
And I could go back in and add some more crevices to him if I wanted to. You just have to finally tell yourself, step away from the cookie.
Nice.
All right, so let's put him out of the way a little bit. Let's bring our guitar back into view. And we're going to be working on the little skull piece that goes on to that one. All right, so if I needed to, I could actually take a small amount of the white fondant. Can you give me some clean gloves? Right over there, by the big blue. I don't want to get black all over my white piece. No, not today.
Not today.
So this is a pretty deep mold, as you can tell. And that piece would be way too big for a guitar. So we're not going to use the big center piece at all. We're going to use one of the side pieces, which is smaller. And of course, my gloves are not going to go on because my hands are hot. I'll just work with it like this for a second. Believe it or not.
Oh my goodness sakes, we should write this way down.
You better.
This is a red letter day.
Okay, so a small amount of white. And I want it pretty thin. And I'm going to go, again, one of the side pieces of this mold. But if you don't have this mold, I'm going to show you how to do this without a mold here in just a second. Again, I don't want it very thick. So if I put too much in, I can actually pull some of it out and then rework it into those areas. Okay? I don't know if you can see him on that white, so let me do that. You saw how easy that came out of that mold as well? Mm-hmm. And I didn't even cornstarch my mold.
It actually shows up very well.
Okay?
Yeah.
Now, if I don't have that mold, I'm just going to take a small amount of the white. Again, roll it up into a ball. I hate my hands sticky. I hate it.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Let me see if I can get one on now.
Roll up this one for you.
All right, so all I did was take a small piece of the fondant, rolled it up into a ball, and then I'm going to squish it down with my finger. And I'm going to use my boo-boo stick to cut it to the size that I want. Okay? All right, so let me get some of our clutter out of our way here. All right. So what I want to achieve is still that skull look. So his head at the top is going to be more rounded. And then his chin, it reminds me of a flower pot or a hot air balloon type look,
Hot air
right?
balloon, yeah.
And then I just take whatever tool I have available. I'm going to give him a couple of eyes, okay? And again, remember his nose is more like a heart shape, okay? So we worked with that. And then I take my boo-boo stick, and then I'm going to just mark off a section where his teeth are going to be. And this one has a scribe on one end and a boo-boo stick on the other. So then I take the scribe portion, and I'm going to give us some teeth. Okay, and then I can go back and adjust that a little bit, scoot it down, and that's going to make his teeth even more pronounced. And then I'm going to flatten out the cheeks a little bit, give it some more dimension. And then with our skull, we want to give it a little bit of decoration, so I can go back in up here and add some things so that I can paint in. Okay? And that's all there is to it.
Nice.
Okay? And again, you can make him as big as you wanted or as small as you wanted.
So we're going to use the mold, or we could make our own?
Correct.
Okay.
And a lot of times, you know, if you're only making a few of these cookies, you don't want to purchase a mold every time you turn around and wait for it to come in, all that stuff. So, again, use what you got.
I liked how you used a portion of the mold.
Yeah. Okay. And we're going to make 3 little roses.
Okay.
I don't like to color a bunch of stuff, so I'm using the white, and then I'll use that airbrush color
Okay.
to paint over them after we have attached them to the cookie. And we'll do an orange one, a yellow one, and a red one.
Got it.
Okay? And so our little roses and our skull are actually ready to go on the cookie. And then we'll do a little bit of painting. We're going to use some edible food markers to paint onto the skull.
Nice.
So shall we use the one that I made or the one out of the mold? What do you think? He's a little bit bigger.
Let's see what the folks want.
All right,
Ask
so
what they want.
there's that one. Okay. Or we can have the smaller one.
I like them both. No one's answered us.
I kind of like him.
Okay.
Let's go with the smaller one.
All right.
Okay. So again,
This is the one you made.
this is the one that
Well,
I
you
made.
made both of them, but
True.
One
True.
is,
One without a mold, though.
yes.
So again, I'm going to take paper potion, just a little bit onto that fondant, so that it's going to adhere to my cookie. Same thing for the roses. And I can stack those. I can place them farther apart, whatever you want to do. Okay? All right. So then we're going to bring in, what did I do with the palette? The color palette. There it is. You know, everything always gets lost,
Yes.
no matter what.
But you found it.
I did find
You
it.
found
I
it?
did find it. So I'm going to take a little bit of that black also
Oh, be careful.
and put in our palette,
Okay.
because we're going to dot those little black things on there. All right. A little more of our dilution solution into our palette. Yeah, the dilution solution is, I get this from the Sugar Art. No, I get this from the Sweet Chalet, and it's made by the Sweet Color Lab, which also makes the Artisan Accents. I get the 8-ounce bottles because I go through it a lot. These little brushes are disposable. They're eyeliner brushes.
Yeah.
I get on Amazon. I get a package of 100 of them for like $7. And they make great detail brushes. All right, so I'm gonna take some of the yellow, and I always want to start with the lighter color first because I don't want to mix the yellow and the red right off the bat and get orange. Because I want one of my roses to be yellow. Okay. And then I can clean that off, go into the dilution solution, pick up a little bit of the red. Now I can mix the two and get an orange. Okay. Now let's go into our red. And while we've got some color here, let's see if there's anything. I think we'll do those with the markers.
Okay.
Okay? You can either throw this little brush away or clean it out with a little bit of water, and it's still good to go.
Yeah.
So let me get the marker, and we'll do the inside of his eyes. And his nose. Okay.
And these are just edible food markers.
Edible
right?
food markers. You know what? Let's use that little brush. I want to show you something.
Okay.
Let's take a little bit of that dilution solution. Get our brush clean again. Let's go into that black. Let's go ahead and do that.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. It really makes it pop.
And then we're going to add some luster to him at the end so you can see the difference in him.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and do those 4 little dots while we're at it. I could have gone ahead and used the marker on these for the little dots, but they haven't been drying very long, and I didn't want to poke a hole in them. So I'm just going to go ahead and paint them with the brush. Yeah, I would have poked right through that one. It's still damp. Because believe it or not, it is pretty humid here today. And I have my dehumidifier turned off during the tutorial because it's too loud.
But you were still able to paint that relatively quickly
yeah.
with that little brush.
Yeah. All right, so now let's take a blue marker. And you can do any color you want. Let's see. Oh, that's a pink. We haven't used any pink.
It's a neon pink, I tell
Yeah.
you. That's good.
All right, so now I'm going to take some bling highlighter, and this is Black Moonstone. And I just spray a little bit in my hand. Okay. Rub a little bit on my finger. Because I want a little bit of an aged look. I mean, after all, this guy's sitting right next to a man that's on fire, so his guitar's burning up too. And then I have gold iridescent, also a bling highlighter. And the fun part about this iridescent gold is depending on what color your cookie is going to depend on what colors it picks up.
And which one is that again?
This is the gold iridescent.
For icing images.
Yes. So we're going to add a little bit of bling to our guy as
We
well.
have to do that. Yes.
Of course. Okay. All right. Any questions?
Let's ask them. Well, Laura is on here. She
Okay.
says she loves it. Chelsea is here. She's so happy to have caught your live.
Thank you.
And which fondant did you use again?
All right. So again, I used the Susan Triano's collection. And I got this as a sample at CookieCon in Reno last month. And it is absolutely phenomenal. It smells really, really like a sweet vanilla, but it's not an overpowering, like a fake taste at all. And it has a sweetness to it. It's not too sweet, and it's very pleasant to bite into.
Okay.
I'm not a big fondant person, but I would eat this cookie.
Okay. And it keeps, so like on these little things, if you lift that up to the camera, maybe you can see the detail on the little flowers that fondant was able to still keep, right?
Yep. Okay. So my camera's got a little bit of a delay. I don't know if it's on there for you or not yet.
It is now. Yeah, you can really see all of the different.
Yeah, it really works beautifully with molds or hand sculpting it.
I have a question for
Yes.
you. So you actually talked about dipping.
Uh-huh.
So which of these cookies did you dip?
All right, so the guitars were dipped. The skull was dipped. I'm a convert now for dipping, thanks to my friend Susan Triano's. It is so fast and so easy to do, even with intricate shapes, because you just go around with, I mean, it's phenomenal. She has a video that you can watch, and it's on the Icing Images page for her fluff and stuff, and she shows dipping, and I'm a convert. And I can flood a cookie pretty darn fast. But let me tell you, hands down, dipping is the way to go, and that's all I do now when I use my big blue.
You heard it here, folks.
All right, so those are my two cookies. Again, the song is stuck in my head.
We're not going to say it since it's alcohol.
Oh, well, I'll say it. Tequila.
I don't know about Facebook.
I know, right? So, again, thank you, Melinda, for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here with you guys. There has been some absolutely phenomenal tutorials. If you haven't had a chance to watch them, go back and watch. They're available for 30 days. Remember, Facebook has changed a little bit, so those videos are not on there forever anymore. They're only on there for 30 days. So go back and watch and make sure that you thank all of the instructors for their time. And again, thank you, Melinda and Connie, for all that you do every year for us. And I can't wait to come to San Antonio to see you guys. Maybe next year I can be there like Julie and all the gang was there for the lives in San Antonio next time. So that's it for me. If you have any questions, just be sure and let me know. I'm with 2B's Cookies. Again, I'm Becky Norton from Houston. 2B's Cookies. You can find me on Facebook. Any questions, just reach out and let me know, and I'll be happy to answer those. And I'll be seeing you really soon. Thank you all so much.